All right, everybody, joining me now. She's a singer out of the great state of New York, Maeve Alexander. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
We were talking a little bit off air. To pinpoint your genre is kind of tricky. I was thinking like indie, alternative. You have hints of like maybe even a little bit of like gothic. Like it's just kind of like I didn't know like what are we going here. So first off, like where are you from and how long have you been doing music?
I'm from Virginia, so that's where I was born, but I was a military brat, so I moved around a lot growing up. But I spent my formative years in Virginia growing up. And I've been making music. I've been a singer since I was 16, and then I started writing when I was 18. Prior to that, I was a classical musician, and I played the flute and the oboe and the piccolo. And I thought that was, going to be what I did. But then I started singing, and I was like, ah, I love this. I can't stop it. So I did.
Where in Virginia?
Newport News is where I went to high school. So those, I say, my formative years. But I was born in a very tiny town called South Boston, Virginia, that no one
Okay.
knows of. It's
Well, the
like,
reason why I asked is I lived in Virginia for 3 years. So
oh, what part?
I know exactly where Newport News is. Richmond.
Oh, my mom lives there, and my twin sister. Like all my siblings, both my siblings are there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very interesting and it's people don't think of it as a melting pot. From when I was there, it seemed like a melting pot. People of different ethnicities and, good people. It's just, I'm um I'm a Florida boy, so that's where I live now and I'm from. So when I moved to Virginia, it was a little bit of a shock. But how was that move for you, like from Virginia to New York? That must have been kind of
Well,
interesting.
actually, so I left Virginia right after high school when I was 18, and then I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina,
Okay.
and I was there for 5 years before I moved here. Um, so I had gotten in a relationship and started a career and all that there, and then I was working with a producer here in New York who, was basically we were working online for a while, and I was like, well, I want to do this seriously, so maybe I should come up to New York. And they just happened to have a place in the apartment they were staying at, like an extra room. So I came up. And I mean, I think at the time I was really ready for a change. I'm used to moving. I've also lived in Florida. I lived in Palm Bay actually for a
No
year.
way. I'm from that same county, Titusville.
What?
It's a
Where do you
small
live
world.
now?
I believe it. I live in Pensacola now on the
Ah,
Alabama
okay.
border, on the Alabama border.
Very
But
nice,
yeah,
very nice.
that's wild.
It's
I don't
crazy,
think I've
yeah.
ever talked to anybody from Palm Bay. I know exactly where that is. That's awesome, man. You know, I believe it when people say like it's a small. It's like no, no, no. But then you'll talk about like something random with some person. I haven't talked to you obviously since till now. But like yeah, you'll have like something random in common. It's like well maybe what is it like 7 point something billion people or
Yeah,
whatever.
a
Like
lot.
you'll be like wow, you know that city? Like it's wild. But yeah, that's
It's really
cool.
small world.
It is actually if you think about it. Um. So go ahead, continue with this story. This is interesting. Talk about how, yeah, just continue on with how you got to New York. That's interesting.
Yeah, so the producer that I was working with, they were like, "Yeah, come on up. Let's make some music." And at this point I had already released my first EP, which is called Our Small Fantasies, and I had released no, yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, and we had been working on the EP that I have now released called Robin Egg, and that's what we were in the middle of. And I was like, okay, well, let's just do it in person. So I moved here, and they had like a kind of a sketchy situation going on with their landlord because their landlord sucked. So I didn't have to pay rent for the first like 6 months that I was in New York City, and I thought I was anyway
I
going to
know about
stay.
this. I know about discounts, Maeve. You know,
You know how it goes. So I got lucky, which great.
I had the
And
brother discount though. I had a different type of discount, but same concept.
same result.
Yeah.
Nice little easy life for a sec.
Yeah, exactly.
So I took that in and we made music. The person, they had another job as well, so they were like super busy. But I fell in love with the city immediately, and I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is where I can be myself. Very cliche, but also it felt good. So we kept working on music, and we ended up releasing Robin Egg. So at this point, we were kind of like a group. I was still figuring out my place in the industry, where I wanted to do, and the music that I was making. At this point, it was just, this person would make the instrumentals, they would produce and compose, and I would write to it, which is why I think a lot of my music is also like the genre. So it's very genre bending, because it was a collaborative process, and it was someone who's a bit more experimental in sound and production. Um, but yeah, so we released that project, and then COVID hit, and the
Mm.
world stopped, rightfully so. And I actually ended up moving. And yeah, it was a big, big, big thing. I moved, my siblings moved up here with me, my partner at the time moved up here with me, and we bunkered down. And the producer that I was working with, we stopped working together, and I started learning guitar, which was life changing because I ended up writing so much music. And guitar is very difficult for me. Like, I'm a classical musician, I play the flute classically, and that was very easy for me to pick up. Like, I started playing when I was 10 years old,
Oh
and I
wow.
kept it up for a long time. Yeah, for at least a decade, I kept it up. I was really invested. I thought I'd be a classical flautist as an adult. Um, so that didn't happen, obviously, but I, yeah, I just wanted to stay. And COVID ended, and I started making the song that I have released now called Room for Two. And that song kind of changed everything for me, because when I wrote it, it was the first time I had written a song, first with music instead of just writing it, a cappella. And I sent it. Oh, I ended up somehow working with this producer named Alvin Murati. I forgot how we met, honestly, but we met, and I
Probably,
sent him.
probably, probably through some sort of technology, you know?
It was online for sure. Yeah. So we met, and I sent him just the little voice memo of me playing the. I still cannot play guitar well, I will say that, but I can play enough to get my point across. So I sent him a little melody with me singing the entire song. I had already written the entire thing. It just flew out. It was one of those songs that, it's like word vomit. It just came out of me. I had to express that song. So it means a lot to me. And yeah, he ended up sending back one of the most beautiful compositions I've ever heard for a song. And that moment, I was like, okay, yes, this is what I need to be doing. I need to be writing my music. I need to be composing a little bit of something, get the key ready, something, give them a little melody to go by, a little
Right.
vibe, and then send it over. And that's what I'm doing now with all of the new music that I'm making, which is I've never been so excited to make music as I am right now.
Well, that's
Since
why I
I was
wanted
very
to,
young.
yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about those two songs, and they're your two most recent ones. So,
Yes.
yeah, so I like to do this every once in a while. I like to pull like a lyric or two, and ask about it. It's interesting. This one didn't take very long to find. The six twisted years, like no need to give it up. What are you talking about? Like a relationship, like the 6 years, like for lack of a better term, like just 6 years I want to get rid of, or 6 years I wish I could get back. Like what are we talking about?
Ooh, ooh, thank you for asking this. So Six Twisted Years is, in my mind, a recap. So it's the past 6 years, starting not this year, but say like starting last year, 2023, the past 6 years before that, and the experience that I have uh, lived through, in experiencing the music industry. That's what that song is specifically about. It is like, so the first lyric is, "Don't need you giving up just yet.
Hmm.
I gave so much time, I'll never get back." So for me, that's like, I know I have, because when I first started making music, I was like, I was not the artist that wanted to release, a song every other week, a month, a project every year. Like, that was never my intention. Those weren't the artists that I admire. Like, all the artists that I love and, really want to replicate are artists that take their time to create their projects. And, it might be 2, 3 years in between a project, but it's good work. And that's to me, I'm a little old school when it comes to the music industry in that way. Like, I'm not old, I'm still in my 20s, but it's still, I think that is the most meaningful way to make music and art. Um, so I was really, I guess, in uh, that bubble there, but I wasn't active at all. I hated social media. I didn't like posting. I still don't
Well,
really like social media.
social media and independent artists, it kind of goes hand in hand nowadays, Maeve. So you kind of have no choice. I mean, not no choice, but
No, you're
it's
right. I don't have it. You're
I
absolutely
mean,
right.
you could pay someone to do it for you and then but then that costs money and
Exactly. It's a full-time job on top of making music,
yeah.
which is something like I really had to begrudgingly get over that.
That's why every company has a marketing department. They just, give it
Exactly.
to
Because they
give it
can't
to
do it
them,
themselves.
give it to them and you know.
Exactly. So one
Yeah,
day I'll do that, and I can't wait.
I hear you
Um,
on that though. It's crazy.
yeah, but it really is insane. Like the amount of work that you have to put into the apps to be an artist, and include on top of the art that you're making that you're spending
Mhm.
so much money on. I love to talk about it though because I
Well,
think most
whatever
people don't
whatever
know.
camera work you're doing, keep that. The zoom in shots and shit. Like like what's going on? It's like you like the zoom in shots? I don't know, but that was
The
cool.
70s aesthetic, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I
I
saw the
really love
video for that. Like you had
it.
like a red jacket or something on that video. I don't know, but like I like the vibes, whatever you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Um
Yeah,
I
615 Years is one of my favorites. I love that one.
Yeah, and then you talk about like you following all the rules and stuff. So it's like a recap. You did everything and then it still ended up, not working out. Is that what it
Now
is?
we're That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's like okay,
Yeah.
and that's how the music
Well, when you
industry
said
is,
recap, that kind of gave it to me a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like I've done all this properly, but also like in retrospect, I have not been following necessarily my true artistry. Like I'm not a good girl that's gonna like follow the rules. Like that's not who I am as a person. That's how I was trying to be as an artist, so I could
Mm.
get somewhere. But obviously, it didn't work because I wasn't being authentic to myself. And now I feel like I fully am able to do that. And with my new music, that's all I'm doing. I really because I have seen lack of success. I have really just put all of myself into it in a way that's like, well, I've seen the bottom, can't get much lower, might as well do exactly what I want. And I'm actually really happy with that. So that's been nice.
Well, that's awesome. You seem like you're going on a upward trajectory. Filmmaking, so is that like another passion of yours? Filmmaking? Is
Ooh,
that
ooh, okay.
because the ghost story
Yeah,
thing?
ghost story. I was so crazy to make that. I don't know what I was like. I really wanted to tell my story, like my early story.
So you
So
do
a
like
ghost.
doing that, or was that just like a one-time
No,
thing?
I love doing it. So I'm actually studying right now. I'm training. I'm almost there in the process of becoming an intimacy coordinator for film and TV.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's been absolutely amazing,
Intimacy
a dream.
coordinator. Is that just self-explanatory?
Directing sex scenes
Yeah,
and
okay, that's what
guiding, yeah,
it's
yeah,
self-explanatory. Okay. That's
making sure
interesting.
everyone's comfortable
I
and
got it. I
yeah,
got it. Yep, yep, yep. All
it's
right.
been
Yeah.
great.
I bet. It sounds like it'd be a blast. It sounds like it'd
I
be a
mean, it's a
blast.
lot of work and like kind of a heavy responsibility, but that's
Right.
really up my alley in terms of, humanness. So,
Yeah. So talk about that song. Um, it just released. When did it release?
ooh, a ghost story. It came out October 21st, which, oh, wait, no, no, no. That came out September 13th. That's right. I released that first. So, yeah, the single A Ghost Story came out September 13th, which I was so excited about because I've always wanted to do a Friday the 13th release. And that was my first one ever. So that was really happy, exciting for me. So I released that. And I had a feeling about that song because I feel like it's my most commercial friendly song so
Mm-hmm.
far. Even though Dylan Emmett, the producer I worked on it with, he told me while we were making it in the pandemic, like 2021, he's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the weirdest song I've ever created. And I
Have
was
you
like, it's not weird.
have you been getting any like like I guess traction on views and people reaching out and stuff like that? In New York, it's got to be kind of saturated though. But
It's crazy saturated. And it's saturated in a way it's like a lot of
you get
people
like
just want to
random
sing.
DMs from people wanting to like collaborate and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Right now I'm getting a lot of engineers, which is nice because I mean I have Zach Summeralls who I work with. for all of my mixing and mastering, and he's phenomenal. I've been working with him since I've started releasing music. So I trust him with my voice and my work. But it's nice to have other people, be like, hey, I really like your stuff. I want to see if we could work together. I think that's important. I'm really trying to broaden my horizons in terms of collaborators right now.
Because
So
to be honest, the New York scene, it's probably like you probably do okay, like you probably make some, income off it, but it's like a passion. It's like it seems like it's very like a passion project too at the same time, right? You gotta like want to do it. You're not just in it for the like an independent. I've interviewed plenty of them, and most the message I get from people is that yeah, it's nice if I make some money off appearances and stuff, but it's what I want to do and I'm gonna do it my way. Is that the way you're thinking too?
absolutely. I mean, of course, I would love, and I do see it being my full-time job. Like the goal is 6 months
Like
intimacy
that's the goal
coordinating,
line.
6 months touring, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't not see that for myself if I actually, put myself to the task and do the work that's needed. I think I'm capable of that. Just who I am as a person, as an artist. I think it's like right now I'm really clarifying my image and the idea I want to get across, but I'm really confident in it. I feel like it's going to be received well by the people who need it, and I think I'm going to be able to really get something, solid and satisfying out of it that I can continue to grow with. So,
Well, I'm glad
yeah,
I
I'm
ran into
excited.
your music. I was on Instagram just going through and I heard I've what Six Twisted Years, I think is what I heard first. And then I reached out and I was like, hey, so thank you for coming on and this is awesome. And who are your influences like musically?
Ooh, I have a few. So I'll name the top three. My top always and forever will be Florence Welch with Florence and the Machine. Hands down, one of my favorite vocalist of my lifetime, at least. I discovered her, or the band at least, in middle school. And then I just started analyzing everything Florence Welch did. And like I sang like her for a long time because I was just, singing to her music for so long.
Hmm.
And yeah, just the way everything about her is magical and so inspiring to me. So she's number one for sure. And then there's Hayley Williams
Sure. Oh
with
wow.
Paramore,
I
obviously.
I thought I was the only one that brought up Haley Williams on this podcast. I'm with you 100%. I'm usually the one that brings her up to people.
What do you think of Petals for Armor, her solo albums?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
I loved them. So hearing and the way, so we all know she has a phenomenal voice,
Sure.
but the
Yeah, of
way she
course.
utilized it in her solo music was so raw, authentic,
Yeah.
and like in Paramore she's very high, like her singing is very
Of
in the upper
course.
registers, and then in her solo music it's just it's like indie rock-ish in a way. It's so beautiful. But everything about her, the first song I ever performed live as a vocalist was Misguided Ghost by Paramore, and I was in like 10th grade in front of a stage of people. And that was the first time, and I was like, my head was down the whole time, I had no stage presence. But her music, her cadences, everything about the way she writes and performs, so inspiring to me. So Florence Welch, Haley Williams, and I think artists that are newer, like within the last 5, 10 years, I would say Billie Eilish. I love Billie Eilish. Everything she
Hmm.
does is stunning, and I think I actually have learned something like from her technique. So before when I first started singing, I have a pretty powerful voice. So my process was, like, oh, sing as heavy and loud as you can,
Right.
let people know that you can sing. Um, but listening to a lot of Billie Eilish and a lot of these new artists that come out, like, okay, well, you can sing, but the feeling is much more important than that power. And the
Right.
feeling holds
Emotion.
its own power. Exactly.
And like
Um,
as contrived, and I've talked about this on the podcast multiple times about these reality show, music shows, reality shows, boys, HD and stuff. I think the one advice that they give that is like authentic is what you just said, like emotion into it. Yeah, it's staged, a lot of it, and yeah, who knows, but because people on those shows they have experience because they've been there. So, yeah, that's a huge, huge, word of advice. And you do definitely have emotion. That jumps right off the video and right off the, screen.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I like your music a lot. And
Thank
so
you.
yeah, would you see yourself being in a band though? Like
Ooh, I've been in a few bands.
you have been in a few bands?
Yeah.
And
I think the issue
what
is
do you like doing more? Like obviously you're doing your solo thing now, but like what's the
I really like being in a band. I can't lie, I really like it. So right now I'm
well, what's
performing
the
with a
tea? Tell me the story. What happened? I'm nosy. I want
okay,
to know.
I
I
gotta
want
get
to give me a good story, Maeve.
oh, I don't know if they're that interesting. So the first one I was in when I was like 18, um, it was like a little rock band. It was a cover band, but yeah, I was in that one. And then we wrote some originals. They really were not good. So that was the whole thing. And then all of the parents were at the shows and they always told me, you need to stay with them, Maeve, because they are not great without. So it was
Mm,
those type of bands. And then they all went to college and became lawyers and doctors and
of
I
course.
was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna still sing. So I moved here and yeah, I was in that group with the producer that I first, lived with when I first moved here, and then went solo. And then I was practicing with another producer who was trying to make a band, and we were doing our thing, and it was really fun. I feel like you need a strong woman or front person, whatever, in a band.
Yeah.
I feel like people have a hard. I don't know. I don't know if I am like I like it, but I have not yet found a group of musicians who also like the fact that I am I am very out there. I'm a personality. Most
Mm.
things about me call for attention.
You're
So,
not boring. Is that what you're saying? You're definitely not boring.
no, and I do like attention also. So I'm going to require it if I'm in front of a stage or on a screen. And I think that can just be, you need the right type of people in a band for that. And I just have not found that group yet.
I
But if I
mean,
ever do, I will take
yeah, I mean, everyone's seen to like been to an indie show that have been like, all right, how did these people to get together? It's like, not to be rude, but like, I don't see why you're there. I don't see you as that. You should be like very choosy, like on your next band. Be like,
it.
start doing auditions, May, when you start, you know, it's not good, not good enough there. Next,
Not me making the band. You're right, though.
be
I
like,
know that.
you gotta drum better. I have high standards. Yeah, you make the band.
You're absolutely right. I've been working with a phenomenal guitarist, actually. Ben Tyree is his name. And we're actually doing a little live performance next week. I'm really excited about of 6 Twisted Years and my song Room for Two and a cover, a Fleetwood Mac cover, but I'm not going to tell you the song because it's not out yet. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited. Working with him has been life changing. I've never worked with a musician where it feels so natural, so easy to communicate. If we have a difference of opinion, it's like, okay, well, you tell me, because I know exactly what he's saying is going to be from his professional experience, and he's been working for years in New York City. And I just trust what he has to say. His talent is out of this world. So like this is the first time I'm like, oh, I am in phenomenal hands, and I feel really good here. So I'm excited. And he also knows musicians. Right now I'm keeping it small with just me and a guitarist, me and him. And the way
Hmm.
he like formulates my songs, it's in a way that's like he encompasses every part of the melodies of the production. Like he's playing that guitar part, he's playing that bass part. He is even incorporating some of that percussion into his composition.
Do you like rock music, Maeve? I could
Oh,
see it. I could
absolutely.
see this. Yeah, I could see that. When I said gothic, you didn't hesitate. Usually if I guess a genre and I'm way wrong, people will be like, not really. Like when I said gothic, you were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I could tell. It's the notes, it's the low key, it's the very serious face. It's
Oh my
like
gosh.
it screamed like 2000s horror. Like just zoom in.
I love that so much though. I love that.
Just zoom in. Yeah, I couldn't pull the straight face. I smile too much. I couldn't pull the straight face like that.
In real life, I do too. But for some
You
reason,
ever
when it
get
comes to
that
like music,
hard? Like, I know I have to be serious here, but it's, you ever get that where it's like hard to say serious? And it's like,
absolutely. You didn't see that in the cuts, but absolutely, they were there. I'm not as serious as my music portrays, I will say. The music that I wrote, like it's as serious as it is because I was, I've gone through very serious things. I've gone through very traumatic
well, of
things,
course,
and
Six
that's what I
Twisted
write
Years. I mean,
about.
you can't be laughing and smiling through a song called Six Twisted Years. That'd be a little hypocritical, you know? It's like, yeah, Six Twisted Years. Yeah. Can't do that.
But
I
I
hear
am
you.
trying to like incorporate like this was a bad experience, but also how hilarious that I got to, write home about it. That's kind of what I'm playing with now, but less serious topics. So not family trauma and more like, oh, I dated this guy who sucked, or this girl that I
Not
wanted to date
not
with
family
actually.
issues, you know?
Yeah, no,
None
no,
of
no more
none of that.
family issues. I told that story. It's out. That's all you're getting. Never again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So about rock music, like do you have any like any rock bands that you are influenced by or anything like that? Anything in the
Ooh,
rock industry?
yes, absolutely. Actually, my number one artist of the year, I looked at my Spotify Wrap today for the first time. Third Eye Blind is my
Of
first
course.
my top
Yeah.
artist.
Wow.
Top
Another
artist
first
of the
time
year.
mention on this podcast. I mean,
But
Haley Williams has
no,
been mentioned before, but not by an artist. So I don't think I've
oh,
had Third Eye Blind mentioned on the podcast. And I've been doing this a long time. You see the amount of artists I've interviewed? I've interviewed a lot.
I've listened to
And
a lot. You're a great
oh,
interviewer.
I appreciate that. But no, I'm trying to think like, no, I don't think so. Why Third Eye Blind? What's
Good. Oh, let me go into it. So
go in.
they're they mean so much to me. That first album, I just will never recover from it. So earlier this year, I went through like some bad heartbreak, bad heartbreak,
Oh, I'm sorry to
and I
hear
was
that.
also it's okay, it's life. I actually appreciate it now because I can write about it,
I
obviously.
mean, it gives you material. That's true.
Exactly, exactly, which is great. So yeah, earlier this year I went through like some really bad stuff, and I started listening to, and I was also going through like alcoholism. Like I was drinking way too much.
Hmm.
I was not so like drugs are fine for me. Like I can do those in moderation. But the alcohol was heavy and crazy, and I was
Oh,
just
wow.
not in my own mind. I was not taking care of myself. I was experiencing a very tough loss, and I just was not coherent in the way that I should have been. And I allowed myself to get in a really bad situation and like a romantic bad situation,
Right.
which still sucks. But yeah, no, it got to the point where I was like, okay, something is wrong. Like I really need to take a step back. And the way I do that is listening to music. It's always been that way. It probably will always be that way. Um, and I wasn't even looking up like Third Eye Blind. I just was on like shuffle, and then what I think Jumper came on, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait. And I just listened to the lyrics for the first time. Like I had
Hmm.
listened to it, I played it on, Rock Band, and I like actually or Guitar Hero
Rock
is
band.
my one, actually. But I had heard it before.
That brings
I
back
listened to it all the
memories,
time,
that game. Rock band.
right? I still play it to this day.
Rock band 3.
Um, Absolutely, that's the best one. And Guitar Hero 2, the World Tour.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
another good
so
one.
you know, but I listened to it. I was like, wait, I need to revisit this. So yeah, I just revisited that entire album, their first album, and it was so transformative and life changing for me in that moment because I was going through such a heavy, dark time. And the whole album is about addiction and overcoming addiction and having someone there with you to experience that addiction with, and knowing
Hmm.
that you can't keep them in your new life because you can't really be friends with people that you were addicts with. Like it doesn't work that way.
Right, right.
Um,
I hear that. It's
yeah,
too much trauma, like
yeah, it's not
yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really just that album just really got me through this year. And my second artist was Megan the Stallion, if you can believe it, who was
Wow. I did not
my
expect that
yeah.
one. But she has been mentioned on the podcast before. You finally
I got
broke the
someone.
streak. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Finally joined the others. I don't not by too much though, not by too many. but
Okay,
she has been mentioned before. And
very
yeah, I
valid,
agree.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, rock music, yeah. So Third Eye Blind, when I was really young, I was much like I still am into rock music heavily, but that's all I listened to when I was young. So my favorite band, A Skylit Drive, was my absolute favorite, and then Asking Alexandria. These are all like
Virginia, right? That's
screamy,
Virginia band, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, makes sense.
so good.
I saw them
And
live.
then
I saw them live actually.
how was it? I'm jealous.
It was so sick. It was them and I believe it was them and Bullet from Valentine.
Oh,
They came to Richmond and it was just
oh,
like they just killed it.
I know they did. I know they. They're so good. So yeah, these are
Richmond
some
has
great
an
bands.
underrated music scene. I mean, that's a totally different podcast, but
No, they absolutely do. Like I have
that
friends
whole
there.
Northern Virginia area is so underrated musically. So underrated.
So that's where I started making music with like a producer named Roswell actually, who lives in Virginia Beach. Like that's where I started making music. And it's so
Talk about
heavy.
the Virginia scene. Talk about that, like what you know about it and
Ooh, I don't know as much about it honestly because I left, when I was like
but you know
19,
enough
but
for a 2 minute story.
a
Hopefully.
little bit. You're right, you're right. That's where I started, right? So I
Hopefully.
started making music there with producers who at this point they're now successful and they have careers. But at the time we were all just starting out. And yeah, I was like, hey, I make music. And it was still weird music then. Like my music has never really been that easy to, put in a box, which I like.
Were you going to like bars and stuff and playing or like where were you where would you go?
I hadn't done the bars. Oh, well, no, I had done a few open mics that were at bars. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually. And then I had done a few because I used to work with rappers a lot and I would do
Hmm.
like choruses and bridges for rappers and I would perform live with them at the venues that they were be at. And that was fun. That was really fun. But it wasn't until I got to New York that I started doing stuff of my own, really. Because I was, excuse me, too afraid to do stuff of my own when I was, you know, living in Virginia. And I was very new to making my own music. And in retrospect, it wasn't good music. So I'm
And
glad I didn't perform it.
you're
But
self-aware. That's good. That's a good quality to have in the music industry too. Self-aware. Self-awareness.
I feel like after you've been in it long enough and haven't seen success, you gotta, like, something has to click for you eventually. So it's clicked for me.
All
And
right.
now I'm
Do you have a fun story? We talked about some of the music has been a little somber. You have any fun? Not doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a different it's just opposite of fun. So do you have any fun stories in New York or any good story you can share on the podcast? It can be
ooh,
about whatever you want, Maeve. There's
yeah,
no
I'm not gonna hold
language issues, nothing. Just say what you want. Any good stories?
back. I have a lot of good stories actually. Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride living here. I've lived in New York for 7 years, so it's definitely been an experience. I would say some of my favorite music experiences would be, I'm gonna not start from the beginning here. I'm just gonna go all around. When I first made Room for Two with Alvin Marathi, um, that's the first song I made like on my own. Like I started the song. This is based off of my idea, and it's really good. And he ended up having, I think it was a birthday party. It was something like that. He had some big party, and that was the first time I performed the song live. And we performed it together just in front of like his friends. It was like 40 of us, it was all of his friends, all of his families,
Hey,
classmates, coworkers. I knew no one,
it's
but
better than zero people there.
yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
better.
then we performed, and the reception to the song was insane. Like as soon as I got off, everyone was like, "You sound like Billie Eilish." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Mm, let's rethink that, but thank you." So yeah, it was a lot of like that was the first like reception of yes, you need to be doing this. This is what you should be doing. So that was a really good time. And then I got very drunk and it was, I celebrated, um, which I don't do now, which kind of missing out. But it was a great experience. And the other experience that I had that was really, really good, I'm going back in time now. I would say when I was recording Robin Egg. So that EP, all of the songs I have recorded, I record in my own home. So I have like my own little studio in my room, and that's where I record all of my work, all of my vocals, anything you hear laid down on the track was recorded in-house, except for my EP Robin Egg. And that was recorded at a engineer friend's house that I met at my very first party in New York City, which was mind blowing to me because, I'm from the South. I'm from even going around with military family. I didn't come from much, really. I've worked my ass off to get to where I'm at. And like I've worked very hard to get where I'm at. So I'm not used to being around like Nepo babies or, people that came from money. That's not like a lot of money. It was very unfamiliar for me. So I went to this party and it was like party of like they owned the whole entire building in the Upper West Side. It was like 6 stories and they just
Mm.
owned it all. And um I was so nervous. This was my first weekend in New York City and I had to record an entire project
Oh,
the
wow.
next day. Yeah, so I was like, oh, well, I obviously have to drink alcohol so I can feel comfortable around these people. So I ended up drinking too much. And the mother of the host ended up taking me and the producer I was working with at the time down to like the third floor, which was her museum. And she ended up showing us around her entire museum. And like her dad or her uncle, someone was the Sopranos star. And she ended up showing us all of these trophies and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you're obviously rich and successful and you live in New York City. What's the one piece of advice you have for me here? And she told me, um, stay sweet. That's what she told me. That just stay sweet. She said, you're very
Oh,
sweet, you're very kind, you need to. And I took that. I mean, obviously, so the next day I ended up at that party, I met the engineer that ended up recording Robin Egg. But that day I got food poisoning
oh
and I was
man.
terribly sick the next day. But that advice has stuck with me so long.
The only poisoning I've ever gotten was alcohol poisoning. Have you ever get like alcohol poisoning? Like where it's so
What?
bad? Yeah, it's so bad.
It feels like you're gonna die. Like you would
No,
rather
yeah,
die
yeah,
than
yeah.
live.
Like, yeah. I have a really like bad story with alcohol myself. So yeah,
Oh,
I
I want to hear it, but
no, I
okay.
mean no, you don't want to hear it. It involves puke and
One night.
no, sleeping in your puke because you have no other option. That bad.
How many
Like
drinks did you have? I'll
I
ask.
don't know. They started. I think I had like 7 shots. Like
Ooh,
yeah, like 3 or 4 beers on top of that.
okay. You were in deep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said something stupid, and my girlfriend left, and
Oh,
a broken heart. Yeah. So so that's my great story. You know.
not the broken heart on top of it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So I had like 11 drinks, passed out in like, because and on top of that, my bed sheets were in the washer. So I was planning on going home and making my bed. So not only that, but I was sleeping on the actual mattress.
I
Like
was too.
like in like just it was so bad. I woke up like blowing her phone up. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I was like really fucked up. And she
Wait,
was
did you
like,
know? Yeah, tell me.
we ended up like hooking up, after,
Okay.
but like that didn't last very long after. You know what I'm saying? Like the posts.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
It
hard
was just like,
decision.
yeah, it was just like more hookups after, and then that was it, the deal. But yeah, that's a, but yeah, so I was like, I don't remember telling you that, even though, it's like, what are you talking about? I said that. I won't say what I said. It's a little inappropriate, but
Oh, I'm so curious. I understand.
yeah, but it makes me come across as like an asshole, which I'm not.
That's what alcohol does to you, though.
Yeah, but if I tell you
Right?
what I said, you may misjudge me like, oh, this guy's a
Oh no, I
dick.
won't. I promise. I am.
I don't know.
No,
It's
I've
pretty
done
bad.
terrible
It's
things.
pretty bad.
You can tell me, I promise.
No, I can't. I can't. I'll tell you. No, I literally can't.
Okay, it's
It's that
inappropriate.
bad. It's
Fair.
that bad. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You'll tell us once we get off this. Yeah, yeah. I have very inappropriate stories as well.
It's
I'm
not like
keeping a PG for you.
it's not like extremely bad, but it's bad enough where it would make me look like a complete
Exactly.
asshole on my own podcast, and I don't want to do that. Like we're cool now. We're cool now, but like
Okay.
we
Nice.
yeah, like we're like not really friends, but like I don't really speak to her anymore. But like if I did send her a message, I'm sure she would
She
probably respond or at least look at it and
think about
you
you
know.
for a second.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It was just like whatever. But I got a good story on what she did to get back to me about it.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I've said this story on the podcast. So we ended up running into each other at a bar. This is all in Richmond, downtown Richmond. We ended up we met online, of course, like everyone else does. She of course knows my last name, obviously, because we dated. And she knew I had an open tab. So she started ringing up my tab. And how am I gonna know? I'm like, I'm like, that's a large bill or whatever. I'm like, I'm already drunk, so I'm not gonna like
Questioned it.
examine my bill and be like, oh well, I'm just wanting to like sign it and go home, you know? So
How bad did she run
she
it up?
like no, not that bad. She put like two or three drinks on it, you know.
Okay, she deserved that. You know,
I fucked up. I'll take it on the chin.
good for you.
She told me that like when we were like just trying, like when we went to have dinner or whatever after all this ended. But yeah, so but I feel selfish talking about my stories on your interviews.
Oh no,
So
Joe, I'm so
you
interested. Never.
yeah. Yeah, you're cool. I'm glad that we connected. So,
Damn.
yeah, so do you have stuff in the pipeline coming up or anything you can share, tease the audience?
Ooh, absolutely. So I'm doing a few live performances, like I mentioned that earlier with Ben Tyree. I'm really excited about because this is all production stuff, but I'm color grading it to fit the aesthetic of my new era that's starting next year in February. And I'm really excited about it. It's my best era yet, hands down, the most authentic to me and genuine to who I am as a person and to the type of music that I want to make. I will give you actually the name of my next single.
Do
It's
it.
called Microdose, and
Wow,
that's
I
it.
like it. You're creative with these ties. I like it. All right, microdose, right? I say right?
Yep, that's it. It's called
Okay,
Microdose.
okay. You heard it first here on the Sensibly Cynical podcast. By the way, do you like the podcast name? I think most people do. They love it.
I really like it.
Sensibly Cynical. Yeah, they
Yeah.
people like it. I always wonder what people think about it when they come on.
No, I relate to it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you sensibly cynical? Wait, are you?
I am an absurdist, so I'm cynical in a way that it is pretty sensible. It's like, well, obviously I should be because the world sucks, but also
So
nothing matters,
what was
which
your
is
first
beautiful.
reaction when you heard the podcast name?
Ooh, I
When
was
you
really
that was a
interested.
message.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, ooh, sensibly cynical.
That's a cool. Let me check this out. What's going on? But yeah, so I've been interviewing independent artists for like a long time. I've been cutting back. I just life's been getting in the way. So how I'm
Yeah.
doing it now is I'll interview like a bunch of people I'll do it in waves. I'll just do bam,
Mm,
bam, 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 and then space them out like
that's very wise.
releases, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got a lot
That
of
makes sense.
I just got a lot of shit going on. But
Yeah. What do you do? Well, I'm sorry, I'm curious. Like, so you interview artists. How are you involved in like music? Is it just interviewing?
it's mostly it's just interview. Like I go like I so how it happened was I got in with a few agencies in Nashville. That's how I got my name out there. There were
Mm,
some few like Dead shout out to Dead Horse and there was another one. But yeah, some agencies like independent talent agencies um saw an interview or whatever and liked my style and then so they would filter me guests, send me emails and say, hey, write up pitches,
Hmm.
Every once in a while I would get one, but I kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of doing their own thing. I haven't heard from them in a while, but they did help me kind of get a name
Yeah, when
out
you're
there.
at
I mean, they did kind of help me filter guests. So now when I send my stuff out to awesome guests like artists like you, it's like, oh yeah, okay, you do have a library, talk to. So they did kind of help me out. And I like interviewing independent artists. I try to give them like platforms because I feel like it's picking up a little bit. They're more like when I first started doing this. So I first started interviewing independent artists about 5 years ago. So when I first started interviewing independent artists in like 2019, there really weren't like too many like super other podcasts doing it. I mean, they were around, but now I think it's becoming more popular, interviewing independent artists. I see way more independent artists like getting interviewed than ever before, which is great for music. Um,
yeah,
but it's still not a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? In the grand scheme of things, like in
yeah,
the grand scheme of things, it's not like nearly. And to be fair, there is a step forward. You just can't expect to go all the way to like whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? But at the same
yeah,
time, they deserve a platform as well. So that's why I try to give platforms to independent artists. And so this will just be like just, a standard like interview, but then I have what I do on the come up. So it's for like the really new artists.
hmm,
Like you're not really new. You've been doing it a while. But I
yeah.
but not a lot, right? Not like super long, but you've been
Oh, a
doing it
long
for
time.
a while. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've
A
been doing it a
decade.
while though.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I
Hmm.
interview the ones that have just started. Like they got their name out there, but they're maybe a year in, whatever.
Hmm.
So I do
Yeah.
that, and that's been fun.
I feel like yeah, I think right now is the time everyone is seeing, really the downfall and demise of large labels, the conglomerates that are taking over the industry. It's not really working. I think people are not interested in the generic formula that's being, force fed to us.
Hmm.
I think independent artists offer that outlet.
Do you get interviews? Have you been doing interviews or get people reaching out or anything? No?
No,
Their
this is my
loss. Their
first.
loss. Their loss.
You're right. You're absolutely
I'll
right.
gladly be the first. I'll
Thank you
gladly.
so much.
Their
This
loss.
will be a mark in time. Absolutely. 5 years from now, it's going to be like, you're the one that wanted to interview me. You got it. And I
Let's
am
do
here
it.
now.
Let's do it. I'm
Yeah.
all about it. Where can people
Hmm.
find you on social media?
Ooh, okay. Instagram and TikTok, I'm under Mad Maeve Music. MADMAEVEMUSIC. And that's it on both. And those are really the two. I don't have Twitter because fuck Elon Musk. And I don't have anything else. Yeah. So just those two. And you can
You'll
find me
be
on
getting more
YouTube as
interviews
well.
after this. I
I really
promise.
feel like next year it's gonna be my year. I'm really
It is.
confident with what I'm
This is the
working with.
start. This is the start.
It absolutely is.
Your downloads aren't that bad. Like you have pretty good downloads too. Like,
I
that
feel like
one.
I'm growing.
Yeah. It'll come. It'll come.
Yeah.
But
I'm
like
okay
I
with the
said,
slow burn.
are you?
I mean, it's been so long now. I feel like the type of artist that I am requires that. I'm a lot to take in. I know that. Even as just a human without my art, it, I can be a handful. So I get that. And I think artists like me, it takes a bit more of, okay, there's a conglomerate, like there's a big group of people here right now, or at least a small big
Mm.
group of people that trust what I'm doing. Everyone else will follow. I think that's going to
You
be
should
kind of the theme.
collaborate. I did an interview with Amber A's. I think
Oh, I think.
you
Oh,
two,
I listened
hit
to
her
that
up,
one. Yeah.
hit her up. Say no, I'm serious. Hit her up. Say, hey, I just did these since we sent a podcast. I like your music. If she doesn't,
Yeah.
she's nice. You
She
should
seemed
like
really sweet.
you should
Yeah.
message if you want to collaborate with her. Message. I think that you guys would click. But
Her music is phenomenal. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
yeah,
I actually saw her on
she has
TikTok.
some catchy ones like Ordinary. That's my
Absolutely.
jam.
Yeah,
But
I'm trying
that's
to make more, a little less weird stuff. I think I'm trying to go for next year.
but
A little more rock
yeah.
heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone should follow Maeve Alexander. pause this podcast if you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple, or whatever, pause it, put in Maeve Alexander on Instagram, follow, and then resume play, right? That's what they should do.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You
All
won't
right.
regret it.
Yep, you will not. You will not. All right, Maeve, thank you so much for doing this. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So
And
excited.
yeah, yeah, take care, okay? Keep in touch.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll
All
I'll
right.
take my new music.
Please do. Please do. All right. Have a good
Absolutely.
one.
All right. You
All right.
too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.